All right, everybody, we're talking about our favorite cars. And just by the way, Nissan of Bakersfield, new B Varsity Live sponsor. Thank you to them. Seeing their spots run in the show. It's exciting to see them. By the way, if you want to see some, they'll run some 240Zs down the track at Famosa once in a while.
Once in a while, you see one. Some of them have small block Chevys under the hood. I've seen them in the nostalgia racing.
Right.
240Z is not nostalgia, but the 350 engine.
And almost getting to be nostalgia at this point. Some of those cars are almost 40 years old. Bakersfield Speedway, not here today, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Thanksgiving Thunder for a second. This was the last-minute add to the season for these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Late models, modified sport mods, hobby stocks, and American stocks and mini stocks on Friday, November 28th. Going to be interesting to see. That's a tough night. I guess Griff, they're competing against the finals or the semifinals of high school football across Kern County that night. So we'll see how that goes. And then Saturday, November 29th, Thanksgiving Thunder. Now that one I think will be successful. I think that'll be a good show.
Yeah, the Friday night thing will be more of and it's like with a lot of Friday, Saturday shows. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, Saturday's the bigger race day here in Bakersfield. Harking back to the October Classic, it's the same thing. You can only there's high school football going on. Sometimes Condors hockey, right. Whatever. So,
well, I think one thing that I think too is that we're seeing more and more people go to things they want to go to, and they, and communities can support multiple events. Look at Los Angeles. I mean, they could have 150,000 people on any given weekend at a sporting event. Auto Club Famoso Raceway, they have an event this week in the WCHRA. You can check that out on their homepage at famosoraceway.com or wchra.net. That's the season finale for them. And again, the March meet coming up, already in the staging plans for there, March 5th and 8th, come up in 2015 with
the Good Vibrations.
Vibrations March meet. Yeah, one of our big stories of the day. And I think Chris, you're gonna have to hit that button because I think it's stuck. Looking at me. Oh, well, yeah, come back to me. Oh, here we go. Now it's back there. Follow those guys on Facebook. And let's talk now about what happened. We got a full 40 minutes to talk about a lot of different things. But, Griffith, as we talked about earlier today, a heroic effort on behalf of the Kern County Raceway crews to get that track ready. Because we had some lingering rain. I was in SoCal on Saturday. There was no rain whatsoever, and
heroic's one word for it.
Yeah,
it lingered. It came right over the racetrack, right about 8 laps into the Legends race, and there was a spin on lap 9, and they ran it around while it was still raining to get halfway and called the race, which is pretty much what they had to do because it didn't quit raining for 15, 20 minutes, and it was coming down good. You could see it in the lights, and the track went from gray to dark. And it was cold and misty and raining, which means it took forever to dry.
What time did you guys get done on Saturday?
12:20 a.m., so Sunday morning.
Was there any concern that you weren't going to be able to finish, or what did you think about?
We were pretty determined. What actually unhinged the whole thing was we spent about 2 hours drying the track. 9 o'clock, we decided let's get the tour cars out there. Larry Collins, who's obviously been around, felt like the track was ready, and let's just do a few pace laps, and we'll go tour car racing. 42 pace laps later, we counted. The tour car said nuh-uh, and I had to pull in and get fuel and take a break. And they're a little more finicky anyway. Those are expensive cars. So we thrust our late models out there at about 10 p.m. and got them running and got their feature in. We went green on the tour just before 11, got them in by midnight, and then we were done at 12:20 with the S2. So that extra hour really pushed us where we're going, okay, this is getting a little scary when those tour guys were out there for almost an hour just running around. But starting at 9 wouldn't have really been that far off the program. So to still only end about 2 hours off the program with a 3-hour delay, we were still pretty pleased with that.
But the tour guys running 42 laps, 23 cars out there, I think, 24.
It did a number on the
all
track.
That heat, that track went from, and that track, quite frankly, wasn't race ready. There was two, you can look at it. There's gray, and then you see dark spots. Well, if you see dark spots after it's rained, that's moisture. You don't want to hit those spots. They ran out there, ran those 42 laps, and that whole track was almost entirely gray at that time. But they had to come in. They had to refuel. Yeah. Their engines were hot. So they put the late models out there, and they ran 10, 15, 20 laps, still putting down more heat. And when they got out there, the track was good, and it was a great race. So
really good race.
It just took a lot of effort to get that track dry.
We got highlights?
We do.
Let's go to the highlights.
I mean, talk about, we played this up as the biggest show we've had since our grand opening. It lived up to that regardless of the weather. Junior Meadors, we had a couple drivers making their debut, including Matty Myers in the 86, and the McClennies got all tangled up at the start. And also that number 3 of Mason Ratcliffe, also making his debut. That's the teammate to the championship-winning car of Jacob Carey from Bakersfield. So that's a pretty good club right there. Bailey Thompson came in with the points lead. All she needed to do was get 5th or better, but she decided to go out on top and win the race and win the championship for the city of Taft.
Nice.
With Kirsty Young in 2nd. On the senior side, all Anthony Balcazar had to take the green. All he had to do was to take the green, and it was a little wild for him. But Jeremy Clark said, well, if all you've got to do is start, I might as well do all I can do. And Jeremy Clark won this race by half a lap.
Wow.
Which was really a great spectacle for him as he gets the win. All right, here's the Legends cars, and we'll get to see that weather start to roll in. As Eric Olson out front, and they were kind of slicing and dicing. We had drivers from all over the place. We had a couple drivers making their Legends car debuts in this field. There's the Flying Mangini brothers. Tony working his way forward. Points leader on the SRL Legends Tour. And as they're racing here, pretty soon we'll see the weather start to roll in as Lawless Allen spins the car out in turn 2, and that sort of puts a cap on the race as they're battling it out. There's Lawless. And he's spun, as you can see the track's already kind of wet, and then you see it starts to get real wet. And Eric Olson gets the race victory.
Right.
And Brandon Weaver gets credited with the championship. And look at how wet the track was.
Wow.
This was after all the drawing efforts. We go late model racing. We had 18 late models from all over the place. But you look at who the top 3 were. The top 3 at Kern County Raceway. It really didn't matter who came. These were going to be the 3. That's Buddy Shepard in the 22 with a new body on that car. He gave Brian Richardson all he could handle. And like I said, this really was probably the best late model race we've had. And for a moment there, we kind of thought Buddy might win this deal. That white car that Lance Wilson just passed was Andrew Porter, who set quick time on the night. But his night was unhinged because he slapped the wall in turn 4. And as a result of that, he got the $200 Ron Zuren's Hard Luck Award. Great racing mid-pack. Cars from all over. That 53 Kyle Gatula out of Modesto had a very busy race, but no one was going to touch Brian Richardson. And he gets the biggest late model prize in Kern County history, $5,000.
That's huge.
Him.
Huge.
It was like on our highlights, they might be a little bit out of order because we got the S2s up now. And that 50 of Blaine Perkins working his way forward. And didn't take him very long. And that's Bakersfield driver pacing the field. Again, this race was run after midnight. So it was only the real dedicated that stuck around.
The real hardcore fans.
And Blaine Perkins gets the win. It was a Bakersfield 1, 2, 3 on the late model, the Tour, and the S2.
Wow.
All right, the Southwest Tour. They put on a show. And, it's some of the same characters, kind of like with the late model, even with all these extra cars, the same guys, the Jeremy Dosses, the Jim Pettits, those same characters. Jim Pettit led the first 84 laps of this race with David Mayhew and Derek Thorne kind of following him around. Jeremy Doss, his night got unhinged because he blew an engine. So that'll take him out of the championship hunt. Tough break for him. Here's Mayhew kind of going after Pettit, but Pettit gets away. For now. And again, just great racing up front. Look at all the side-by-side racing going on. Here's a restart. This is the lap 84 restart. Mayhew takes the lead. Pettit tries the over-under, and he'll clip the apron and spin, and this could have been a catastrophe.
Yeah.
And look at all these guys up in the dirt. Donnie St. Hours in the 6 gets the worst of it, but that would kind of end Pettit's run for the win. And again, that could have been really bad. There's the damage on Jim Pettit's car. And on the restart, Derek Thorne tried to chase down David Mayhew, but our 2014 Pro Late Model champion, just like Brian Richardson in the late models, our champions would be the champions of the fall shootout, and David Mayhew wins $10,003 as the winner.
So, I mean, really, the interesting thing is, Mike, you pointed out too, and Stephen, you hit it on the button. It was a great night for Bakersfield drivers. I mean,
yeah.
A big event, and the Bakersfield guys came through and dominated.
Every race was won by Bakersfield, and like I said, both the big late model races were won by our champions.
Fascinating.
So we kind of stuck it to these guys.
All right, we got more to get to. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more from Kern County Raceway Park after these messages.